Yeah. Okie dokie. You're probably going to want to turn me down because I'm from New York. So that means you'll have no problem hearing me. And it also means that I speak fast, and as I get excited, I speak faster. So I'm going to try and not do that, but I only have about 30 minutes with you, so I'm going to, and there's a lot of content. So if I do race through something and it doesn't make any sense, or you'd like me to repeat it or whatever, I'm perfectly happy for you to say, oh, could you say that again, or repeat, or review it. So let's see. Is this? Come on, there we go. So just quickly, me, as I said, I'm originally from New York, but I was in Silicon Valley for a dozen years out at Stanford, and then with PayPal, and PayPal is the one who moved me over to London back in 2006 to launch PayPal Mobile, back when it was text and WAP in the good old days. I stayed in London, so I've been in London almost 10 years now. Left PayPal, went to RBS, and launched their mobile efforts, and for the last 5 years have been working in this convergence of mobile, fintech, and e-commerce. And it is what I call the digital wave. I think I might stand closer to this, because further away seems to not be working, so I might block your view a little bit. So I use the metaphor of the wave because I think it's appropriate. Digital and mobile is a force of nature. It's not going away. You can't ignore it. You can't deny it. You either learn to swim, navigate, sail, or drown. That's the world we live in today. So I'm going to give you a small sampling as we go around the wave of this presentation and talk about the implications of all of that and what it means. So first of all, just scale. This is moody. Okay. So first thing, global points of presence. So this is traditional financial channel touch points here. Western Unions, bank branches, post office, ATMs, point-of-sale terminals. On the right-hand side, you have consumer networks that are out there, consumer technologies, broadband PC, landline, credit card, and obviously mobile is ridiculous. I mean, the scale of it compared to any other network that we have on the planet is just way, way larger. Most importantly is how fast did we get there? So this is how many years did it take to get to 80% penetration of the human population. And again, compared to any modern technologies, whether it's railways or radio or whatever, mobile is ridiculously fast to get there. And it comes down to this. The world is changing fast. Big will not beat small anymore. It's the fast beating the slow. And you probably recognize Rupert's name. This is not in his interest, right? He would much prefer the big beat the small. But he realizes that in the new world, that's just not the case. It's going to be the fast beating the slow. And it's this. The big guy looks scary and intimidating, but it's the little guy that's dangerous, right? And you can't even see the little guy if you back off 100 meters, 200 meters. The little guy disappears into the background. But the little guy's the dangerous one. The big guy is not nearly as dangerous as the little guy in this context. So The Economist just came out with this issue recently, the planet of the phones. And talking about how by 2020, 80% of adults will have a supercomputer in their pocket. And that's where we are today in terms of the penetration. And you know, people's phones are so important. If you took them away, here's what they'd give up to get them back. 45% will give up alcohol, 34% chocolate, 13% will never have sex again to get their phone back, which is amazing. So what are we talking about? So here's a bunch of adjectives that I don't think apply to any other particular item. It's personal, it's essential, it's affordable, it's fully global, it's connected and ubiquitous, it's proximate. Your phone lives in this circle. That's where my phone is. It's always within arm's reach. It's never outside of arm's reach. It's sophisticated yet fun. It's trusted. It's measurable. It's sensitive. If you don't realize it, your device can actually see and hear better than you can at this point. It's monetizable, obviously, and very much an operator-led platform at this point. So I'm going to break my thumb trying to get this to go. Okay. So just so we're all clear, as far as I'm concerned, it is the most deeply and broadly penetrated technology ever. If you look at human technologies, as far as I'm concerned, it goes like this. We had fire, then we had the wheel, then we had the mobile phone. And to prove that, I talk about toothbrushes. Come on. I'm going to give up on this thing. Toothbrushes. There are 3 times as many mobile devices on the planet as toothbrushes. There's no reason for that. It's not expensive, it's not hard to make, it's not heavy to ship, there's no IP protecting it. But what it comes down to is that connectivity and communication is way more valuable to this social ape than dental hygiene at the end of the day. Look at this. All right. Mobile, electricity, safe drinking water. Again, penetration of the human population. The amazing thing about this slide for me is that electricity has been increasing in the last 5 to 10 years. Think about that. It didn't increase for light, for heat, for refrigeration, but I need to charge my phone. Could you put a plug into my hut so that I can charge my device? I mean, that's an incredible development, really. In 2005, this is the announcement of the new Pope, and you can see, I think that might be a Samsung or a Nokia down there. 8 years later, 8 years. So the next day, this is what the world looked like. I mean, kind of incredible when you look at it. And it comes down to this. Only recently have we become a world in which everybody has a computer and we're really there with the smartphone. Now is the time when a number of industries that have historically not been much affected by technology, banking, are all of a sudden in a position to be transformed by it. Mark Andreessen, if you don't know him, he designed and wrote the first web browser. So the Mozilla web browser, Netscape, that's Mark, and now he's a big investor in Silicon Valley because he made a little bit of money from that. So in the future, by 2020, we're bringing another billion people online who aren't online today. And that's really what it's about. So this digital penetration, this digital immersion is about bringing people connected online who really today are not online at all. And, you know, basically it comes down to it. If you're literate, you'll have a mobile device. I mean, that's kind of where we are. If you can read and write, or just read really, you're definitely going to have a smartphone by 2020. Oh, I skipped it. How do you go back? There we go. So this is very accurate. This image from The Economist is very important to understand because mobile, some people make a mistake about mobile. They say, oh, it's internet in your pocket or it's web on a small screen. It is not that. It is a fundamental paradigm shift in human history. It hasn't happened before. It is unlikely to happen again. And I really can't overemphasize that. This is a real change across the piece. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. This is going to change the world in fundamental ways. So as we move around our wave, acceleration and digital bridges. So first of all, this is a slide I love. It's taken with Instagram. It's how many months to get to 1 million users. And if you look at the traditional internet players, AOL, eBay, PayPal, you know, AOL was 5 years, PayPal was just over a year. Draw Something launched, 7 days later, they hit their millionth user. So all these green players are living in the mobile world. It doesn't stop at 1 million. This is how many days to 50 million? Here's Draw Something again. 50 days, they hit 50 million users. It took the telephone 75 years to do that. But why stop at 50 million? Come on. Yeah, why don't you hit it when it doesn't? Thank you. This is number of years to reach 1 billion. Landline, television, mobile, internet, smartphones. This is how many years to reach 1 billion users? 8 years to reach 1 billion users on smartphones. There we go. Now we're working. What this really comes down to is leverage. Okay, so this is an important slide to understand. There are 2 to 3 times more smartphones than PCs by 2020, which is right around the corner. Which means all of these things. It's personal, it's taken everywhere, it's frictionless, location, payment, etc. Which means that's 10x the opportunity that the internet was. Right? 10 times greater opportunity simply because of the pervasion of the platform, because it's everywhere. So what took 100 staff, 1 million users, and 10 million raised in 2000 is 1 man, 1 million users, and no money raised. And I'm sure this room has heard of Flappy Bird, right? 1 guy in a bedroom in Vietnam. Millions and millions of users, right? So that's the world we live in, where a single individual raising no money can get 1 million users like that with the right formula. Yes. So proceeding around, personalization, proximity, and the loss of physicality. Personalization, everyone wants to treat the red ball like they're special, like they're unique, like they're totally different than the rest of the balls, even though they're largely the same. For the first time, we can actually do that. Your phone number is a unique identifier globally. We've never had that before. Like bank accounts in Europe are all different. They can overlap. Your passport numbers, we've never had a global standard for that. All of a sudden, and this sometimes makes people uncomfortable, but you've been chipped. Your chip is unique to you. Your SIM card is unique to you on the planet. No matter where I travel, my phone will ring for me. That is an incredibly new thing in terms of personalization and where we're going. There's a bit of Dilbert in here because it's very relevant and it makes sense. Can you see that in the back, or do I? You can see that. So this is important. I'll let you finish. I generally wait for the chuckle, then I know that. So this is important. This is the first technical device that we have an intimate relationship with. There's a phenomenon that you'll all remember that is gone, which is, can I borrow your phone? That used to happen. No problem. Here's my phone. I might pin unlock it so you can use it. No way now. Way too personal. Who knows what texts or messages or browsing or images or... No, phones are not shared. That's like saying, can I borrow your underwear? Like, no, thank you. You can't. You know, same thing. It's way too intimate a device to do that. This is an infographic from the Mobile Marketing Association. I'm going to call out some things on it. So first of all, mobile is becoming the connective tissue, which is a very biological term, of nearly every aspect of life, making it the most personal and most pervasive media in history. A few other highlights there. Go ahead. Only, I want to know who wrote only on that. Only 6%. That's interesting. 1 in 4 mobile users admit they're addicted. 1 in 3 if you talk to the under 30s. I'm completely addicted. You can't take it away from me. I can't get rid of it. And like a toothbrush, you're not sharing it. You're just not going to. It's just too personal. It's too intimate to do that. It's not surprising. It surrounds the individual. It's their searches, their calendars, their location, their purchases, their interests, but most importantly, it's this. It's their social graph. It's everybody they know, everybody they work with, everybody they love, all coming through one device. And hence, the intimacy level. It's so intimate because of the social graph coming through that channel. And we even have a new psychological disorder. Nomophobia is the fear of being out of mobile phone contact. People are talking to their therapist. I woke up and I couldn't find my phone. Yeah, it's sad but true. And it really comes down to this. So this is a slide from Mary Meeker. We'll talk about Mary Meeker some more in a bit, but it's all about moving from asset-heavy, physical things, to asset-light, digital things, across these spectrums, space, time, and money. And the reason FinTech is booming is because of this, because money is moving from a physical asset into a digital asset over time. Thanks. Okay, one more. Hyperconnectivity and user interfaces. So hyperconnectivity is just this fact that literally everybody is connected to everybody else. And if you know anything about network effects, that's a massive value. It comes down to this. We're in our third revolution. So we had our industrial revolution around coal, steam, and rail, our information revolution around electricity, fuel, and chemicals, and now we're in this communication revolution, which is really about digital connectivity and commerce. It comes down to this. Mobile and fixed passed each other in 2010. So this is important. When someone says internet, if they're of my generation, they still sort of mean a laptop. That's not true for the generation now. When they say internet, they mean mobile. Mobile is the internet. This is the wireless, did I do that? Yeah, the wireless generation. If you want to have an entertaining conversation, find someone under 25 and say, yeah, we used to go to the airport and we'd pick people up and nobody had a phone. And they're like, that's impossible. like, how would you do that? Because I grew up, there was a plan. I'll meet you tomorrow at noon at the corner of Main and Jones. And the plan was the plan. Now people don't do that. People say, I'll meet you downtown. And the two blue dots find each other. Like, that's how it works. They expect to be never offline. the idea that you would be offline is kind of crazy. Like, why would I do that? What's the point of that? Millennials, in terms of the importance to millennials, the mobile phone, 96%, followed by the toothbrush, 93%, very, very nearby. Look at this, television, 54%, really low. And in fact, they don't count the internet. Mobile and the internet are two different things. That internet thing that you use a computer for, I don't really need it compared to my mobile device. My mobile device is what I need. Whoa, I went too fast. Back up. This is not the web to them by any stretch. This is the web. Right? Multiple devices, multiple times, multiple use cases, and they expect to move amongst them seamlessly. And this will be the web. Right? Everything. This Internet of Things that you've heard about coming, and we don't really have too much time to talk about that, but I'll touch on it later. And we're early in this. We're right about here. Early for this Internet of Things, which is coming, which everything has a chip in it, not just computers and tablets and smartphones. So, information asymmetries and hyperconnectivity. How am I doing? It's going a little slower because of this. Okay, so I don't have time for all three, so someone pick. Indian fishermen, Kenyan farmers, or Pakistani barbers? Just pick one. Barbers. Okay, so in Pakistan, if you wanted a haircut before the mobile device, you went to the center of town. Whether it was a city, a town, a village, all of the barbers were there, and most of the revenue that the barber made went to the municipality for hosting them there in the center of town. Mobile comes along, and a very industrious barber puts on the side of their scooter, text me, I'll come wherever you want. I'll come to your house, I'll come to your office, I'll meet you on whatever corner you want. Now, that market clears directly. There are no haircuts in the center of any villages or towns anymore because they don't give any money to the municipality. That whole tax of doing that is gone now. That's what hyperconnectivity is about. All those information asymmetries, someone knows something, someone doesn't know something, and there's an information asymmetry, are gone. The markets are clearing much more efficiently across the world, whether it's India, Pakistan, Kenya. It's incredible what's happening now. The clearing mechanisms have become much stronger. It's really the great opportunity of the present moment. It removes all frictions from any business transaction. It is the opportunity that's massive and has disruptive effects. This comes from a site called The Next Billion Seconds. Next billion seconds that's about 30 years, a billion seconds, if you didn't calculate that quickly. By the way, I forgot to mention, so I am not a futurist. If anything, I'm a presentist. Everything that's in this deck has happened. I'm just trying to kind of catch us all up and bring us up to speed on that. Okay, go ahead. Oh, yeah. Let me get some water. Yeah. So, people of my generation and older are a little worried about all the sharing. Oh, there's so much sharing on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Twitter, on WhatsApp, lots of sharing and publishing. The reality is that's irrelevant. That is going to continue forever. And if you're not sharing, if you have no social influence whatsoever, it raises a question. People are like, you've been in prison? You've been, like, what? Like, why aren't you with us? In a hyper-connected world, you need to play with us. And if you're not playing with us, people are like, well, I think you might be dead. Go ahead. In the old world, you had many, many people to one node. This was the only node to the network. Now, everyone's got their own node, so it's a direct link. In fact, I found this image. You see this here? Any guess what that is? That is a payphone graveyard in New York City. And literally a photographer under an overpass found thousands of payphones that had just been ripped out because who needs a public payphone anymore when everyone has their own? So I trust my network more than I trust your brand, right? I don't need to trust a brand anymore. In the old days, I would pick up an item in a retail store and it would be high price, medium price, low price, and I'd read the label and that was all the information I had. Now I pick it up, I scan it, and I've got everything. I've got literally everyone's opinion of this thing globally. I've got prices on it. I've got full reviews of it. You can go to the next one. I've got the full access to the group information on that product. That is a radically new retail relationship, and it has changed physical retail. Physical retailers are like, oh my gosh, like my walls are irrelevant now. People are moving on. I don't know if you've seen this. You see this here? There? those are Facebook likes for every article of clothing. This picture is 5 years old. This is from Brazil. They still have it. It's a great service. They post all their clothing on Facebook, and people vote, like it or not like it. And a lot of people say, look at this, say, that's crazy. People are only going to buy the most liked. Not really. There are people who buy the most liked. There are people who buy the least liked. And there's a nice bell curve in the middle. Again, information transparency. It's just hyperconnectivity and information transparency. People want to know what they can know. Oh, the app. The app has changed everything. We love our apps. Here's. So it is true, we are crazy for our apps, okay? So let's do some numbers. So basically, there's about 1 billion smartphones on the planet. There's about 1.5, well actually it's coming up on 3 million apps now. So again, 1 billion phones, 3 million apps, over 60 billion downloads. I mean, if that's not crazy, I don't know what is. Like, and in fact, this is projecting 200 billion by 2017. But to date, it's around 60, 70 billion downloads. 1 billion phones, 70 billion downloads of only 3 million apps or so. That's crazy. We are just nuts for our apps. It comes down to this. If you don't know Johnny Ives, he's the designer of all things Apple and Mac, and he calls it meticulous simplicity. Whoops. Can we go back? Yeah, meticulous simplicity. It's an appearance game. It's use of material in a very minimalist way. And it's very important to the design ethos of Apple. And you look at it, Apple's a very different product. This is the average selling price. So selling price here, units sold there. Not nearly as many units, very low on units, but very high price compared to anything else. Apple, look at this. As of the last quarter, Apple is taking 93% of the industry profit for smartphones. And I mean, it was crazy. Over here, we thought it was high. And right here, it was right here back in 2012, Samsung, oh no, I'm sorry, at this low point, this is Samsung, Q4 2012. They basically said, oh my God, like, we're going to end up with everyone else losing money. So we're going to do two things. We're going to infringe, because it was totally worth doing that. We're just going to copy, which is fine. And then spend more on marketing than Apple, HP, Dell, Microsoft, and Coca-Cola combined spend on all of their products. Samsung spends on marketing its mobile products. And they did really well for a while, climbed up here, but then as of the last release, it's gone way down. So how can Apple do this? I mean, you remember this? This is the world before Apple. Turning, twisting, flipping, colors, sizes, shapes. I mean, it was great diversity. After Apple, the flat black slab has won, right? We got rid of the buttons. It's about this. This is what poor BlackBerry missed. Mobility to usability. So one way to look at BlackBerry, if you ever end up talking about it, is they made very cute laptops. I mean, it's a tiny computer. It's got a little mouse, a little keyboard. And so they added mobility to what was hard to move. Apple changed that with usability. They said, forget that. We're getting away from the old paradigms. We're going to a new paradigm. No GUI. We're going to touch, voice, gesture, natural, intuitive. A user interface that you don't need to train on, a user interface that a 3 or 4-year-old can use. And you know this, if you give an iPad to a 4-year-old, they'll show you some things about how it's meant to work. Because it's intuitive, they don't need to, and they'll go up to television screens and they'll go, and then they can't, this television's broken, I can't try to change the channel and it doesn't, because they're used to a world where the interface doesn't require you to know anything. In the old world, it was this, your Sony remote. God forbid you lose the manual of your Sony remote, because who knows what a red, green, yellow, and blue button's supposed to do. And there is no manual for the Apple remote, right? It's a complete change of design ethos. And obviously the valuation of Apple, you add Google, Microsoft, Amazon, and Facebook together, and you start to get near the valuation of Apple. And that's actually old. It's even greater now. I could probably add some more companies in there. As a minority smartphone player, they're overtaking the entire PC industry in terms of revenue. So the world has fundamentally changed when a smartphone player who has 15% of market has more revenue than the entire PC industry. When you look at PC and Microsoft, it's incredible. And it's an ecosystem. I don't really have time to walk through this, but it's not just hardware. It's the software, it's the accessories, the users, the operators. That whole ecosystem works together to drive the engine. I mean, hardware drives the profitability, no doubt, but it's the ecosystem that keeps it going. Any guesses what this is? This is a 5 megabyte hard drive. It weighs 2,000 pounds, and it was being moved across country by IBM. And the reason I put this up here is because it's very important to realize what's happened every 10 years. So we started with mainframes, then mini computers, personal, desktop, mobile, and wearable. Every 10 years, we get a new generation. Well, why is this? It's a simple equation here. This is, again, Mary Meeker. It's a logarithmic scale, so it's beautiful. 1, 10, 100. There's about 1 million mainframes, about 10 million mini computers, 100 million PCs, 1 billion desktop, 10 billion mobile. That's kind of where we are today. If time had stopped at desktop, you'd say, well, there's going to be 10 billion. And the Internet of Things you keep hearing about is the natural progression. There's going to be 100 billion Internet of Things. And this is all about computing cycles, right? It's faster CPUs, better batteries, more storage. It's Moore's Law in action. And what I said, Mary Meeker is Kleiner Perkins, Croftfield and Byers. She does an annual report. If there's one thing you remember from my whole presentation, let it be Mary Meeker. Okay, look her up, and when her report comes out, read it, because it's very interesting and informative every year. So 99% of things are not connected to the internet, right? That's what this Internet of Things is, and that makes Cisco very happy. Cisco's like, whew, we're in the right spot right now. It comes down to this: computers and phones. We're at the tip of the iceberg in terms of what's going to be connected to the internet. This Internet of Things is going to change everything. And today we have devices, PCs, tablets, smartphones, etc. But where we're going is things: smart homes, cities, offices, factories, pretty much everything. The price of a chip is going to go so low that you're just going to drop it into a pair of sneakers or trainers, into clothes, into everything, because it makes perfect sense to do so. By the way, as I said, I'm not a futurist. This exists. You can buy this. It goes into your refrigerator. You put your eggs in it. When you're in the store, you can see what eggs you've got and how long they've been there, and see if you need new eggs. It attaches to your home Wi-Fi. Connected toothbrush. Why not? Tells you how you did. Did I too much pressure? Did I floss? Did I clean my tongue? How much time? Am I doing okay? The toothbrush, woo, moving ahead. Connected nappy. So you're familiar with something that's going to go away, which is this. No need to do that anymore. I check my phone. What's going on in there? Does a little chemical analysis. The kid needs more water. The kid needs more food. I don't want to talk about where that goes, but everything's connected. And it's us. We're connecting Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, everything we can. We're connecting to the network to make transparency of information. It's just more information. This is a Google product. If you haven't seen it, it's for diabetics. You pop it in, and in your peripheral vision, you see a little scale of your insulin level. So instead of having it post-attack, you can have a pre-attack, and you can be aware. This is it's like a bandage that connects to your phone and keeps your doctor informed on your pulse, your heart rate, your body temperature, a bunch of different things, and it falls off after a month. This doesn't exist, but basically, the image is about an API to your body. Like, that's where all these wearables things are heading, is how do we integrate our experiences so that we're connected to the internet. And everything becomes dynamic, real-time, social, mobile, local, fluid, but most importantly, it becomes predictive. And predictive is what this is about. I don't have time for this, unfortunately. So we're going to skip that. But if you are interested, I'll talk about it later. So we have this race. Everyone wants to know, who's this guy in front? Who's winning? And you see very unusual things now. This is another Economist image. GAFA, right? Google, Apple, Facebook, Amazon. Today, I say that, nobody flinches. But this is crazy. Search engine, hardware manufacturer, social media, online retailer. Like 5 years ago, they weren't related at all. They didn't come up in conversation together. Now, they're the four horsemen of the apocalypse. You know, they're the ones going after. So why is that? It comes down to this. The brands are huge. This is a share of top 100 global brand value. In 2004, it was less than 2%. Google, Apple, Facebook, Amazon. Now, look at that. Those four alone are almost 20% of the tech brand value out there. It's changed the world. Let's start with Google really quickly. Google came out with Google Wallet and a bunch of all of Google products, whether it's Wallet or anything, is about this, is about filling the servers with data, right? That's what it's about. The name of the game is about the inexorable growth of data. 1 exabyte is a billion gigabytes, and you can see it's just a ridiculous growth over time. I mean, we're in the early stages. We're right about here, you know, where digital information is just exploding. Yeah. And it comes down to this. I don't know if you can see that in the back. It's free, the lemonade, but they sell your information. That's the world we live in, and everybody knows it. If you're using a product and you don't pay for it, so Gmail as an example, it's very simple. You're the product. You're what's being sold, right? A free product means that you're the product. You're the byproduct of what that is, and that's what Google's doing. That's Google's whole. It says, warning, the data industry is selling your life. And it says in little print, your health, tax, and phone secrets are being traded. It's time to take back your privacy. Except that people don't want it back. People are perfectly happy to trade data and privacy to get something for free instead of paying for it. If you ask anybody if they'll pay for Gmail, the answer is no. And we're doing it all over. Waze, you know Waze. We drive all that data. Jawbone, Yelp. The data that's being generated and filling these servers is us. We're filling it very helpfully. We're like, yeah, sure, take my data. Here's where I am. Here's what I'm doing. Here's what I bought. Here's what I want. And it's all about moving forward. Data is the new oil, right? That's what people are mining, all of GAFA. And it's about this, moving from data to information to knowledge to wisdom to power. We are in the very early stages here. We're at the collection and input stage of converting data into information. If you look at this, you know, unorganized data, big data, aggregated data, connected data, predictive data. Google and Amazon are leading the way there. Everyone else is in the very early stages of what big data actually means in terms of revenue. I don't really have time to go through this, but today we're in this predictive phase. So we went from descriptive to predictive to prescriptive. And if you're curious about this, come get me and we'll talk about it later. But prescriptive is where we're going, and actually it is happening today. There's a service called quarterly.com that you buy a box for $100 that you don't know what's in it. But you're saying, I trust you, send me what you want to send me every quarter. And it's prescriptive. We'll talk about that more later. So very quickly wrapping up Apple, because everyone wants to talk about Apple and money and Apple Pay. This is why. I mean, Apple has 1 billion credit cards on file. That's a lot of payments on file already. Compared to Amazon and PayPal, and it makes them look like they're not even in the business. I mean, so iOS 6 came out, Passbook came out, no payments. Everyone's like, huh, that's weird. I would expect payments to be in there. Then we got Touch, and you saw it's everything but payments. It's what you bought, where you went, what you drank, everything except the payment card, which seemed like a logical thing. Then we got Touch ID. Again, no payments. We got Passbook, we got Touch ID. Where's the payments? Why isn't it happening? Touch ID was very popular. 83% of people who had it used it, so over 4/5. That was a really popular offering. And then iPhone 6 and 6 come out, and obviously we get Apple Pay with it. One-touch checkout, no card number entry, no need to type addresses, no card information shared with the merchant. And it's an integration. It's taking what they've learned from Passbook with what they've learned with the fingerprint and Touch ID and integrating it into a very simple checkout. Credit and debit cards alongside passes inside Passbook. If you've never seen it and you want to see it, I can show it to you. I have it on my phone. It's your wallet without your wallet. So let me be very clear, and people don't agree with me on this necessarily, but Apple doesn't care about payments at all. Like not even a little bit. Because basis points and even percentage points inside of Cupertino, I mean, they make, you saw the profit. They take 93% of handset industry profit. If they took all of the payments industry profit, it would be a rounding error for them. Apple's trying to achieve one thing. All of us have the same experience every morning. There are 3 things in my house that I don't leave without: my phone, my keys, and my wallet. Apple wants it to be one thing. That's it. They want the wallet to go into the phone, they want the keys to go into the phone so that I upgrade to the next device, because they're making 60% profit on that device. That's it. They don't care about payments, they care about making your wallet evaporate. And keys as well. You can use your iPhone 6 to get into the W Hotel in New York. So why do I have to go to this hotel? I lost the key already. They gave me a plastic card to get into my room. They could just put it on my phone. Very, very soon, every hotel is going to integrate to Apple Pay so that I don't have to get a key card. They'll just be on my phone. And they're integrating to luxury car manufacturers. It's, you know, it's going to be in every BMW and every Audi and all the cars. I'm going to use, when I get next to my car, it will unlock. And when I sit in the driver's seat, it will turn on. That's the incentive. That's what they're trying to do. It is iTunes 2.0. I'm not going to walk through that right now because I'm running a bit over time. But that's Apple Pay in a nutshell for me. Critical success factors in this market, it's all speed. Hopefully you get that. And moving fast. Prepare to be naked. It's all about transparency. There's no such thing as small print anymore. No one's taking advantage of anyone anymore. If a merchant takes advantage of a customer, everybody's going to know it immediately. Trust. Trust is the new currency for everything. And resilience. And resilience comes down to being prepared for change and how you deal with change. And then kissing is very important. Kissing, keep it simple, stupid, is the acronym. And simplicity is the ultimate sophistication in this market, no doubt. So conclusions very quickly. There's massive change ahead. If you look at what's happening in the next, so this is another Mary Meeker slide. Magnitude of the upcoming change will be stunning. So we've had a ton of change in the last 5 years, 10 years. The next 5 years, 10 years is going to be ridiculous, like way faster than the last 5 or 10. And I'm not going to walk through this, but it's an incredible array of things that haven't happened quite yet, but that Mary sees just over the horizon. And it comes down to this. It's not the strongest, not the most intelligent. The one most responsive to change is going to be the one that survives in this digital wave. Charles was right. That's a summary of kind of what we talked about. And that's just because sometimes I scare people, so the duck helps them calm down. And that is it for me. We can do quick questions, or if we have a second. Go. One more. There we go. Any quick questions?
Perhaps we have time for one.
I'm gonna break my phone.
One quick question.
It's okay. No wonder it's
Any?
generic.
Over there. Okay.
Hello.
Hi.
Roy. Glad to see you in Riga again. What's your idea about Facebook strategy and Facebook role in the payments market? Thank you.
Yeah, you know, Facebook, I mean, obviously they took David Marcus from PayPal, you know, the helm of PayPal. Facebook is not dissimilar to Apple in the sense that all they want to do is make you spend more time on Facebook, right? So if you have to have an experience on Facebook, I'm organizing a party, I have a group that's doing football, I'm part of a scouting troop or whatever, and then I got to go someplace else to transact, they don't like that. So at the end of the day, they just want you to stay there. If you're having an experience there and there has to be a value transfer in some way, a group payment or whatever, they want you to stay on Facebook. It's not a monetary thing. I mean, again, Facebook makes plenty of money such that the basis points that you would get from payments is not of real interest.
Integration of Facebook messaging with payments.
Yeah, well, and it's exactly the same thing. So in other words, they want you to be able to not only communicate there to your friends and family, but to do everything there. So So literally in the conversation, say, oh, by the way, you still owe me £5 from last night, and the person say, here it is. So in the exchange of Messenger and in the experience of groups and family and friends and all of that, just so you don't have to leave the platform. It's not, they'll probably give it away in most situations. I mean, almost all P2P payments are free in the US, well, actually, PayPal globally, P2P payments are free. And in most of the major, like the UK, person-to-person, bank-to-bank, that's a free payment. And I'm pretty sure Facebook is just going to give away that. I doubt that they'll get into the merchant space very much. So they might, there's a chance that you might be able to buy an item from a merchant on Facebook, but I'm hard-pressed to see that they would be willing to go there, because it's much messier than just doing a P2P transfer. It involves chargebacks and customer service and support. I mean, it's a whole other realm that I don't think Facebook would want to get into, but who knows? Thank you.
Thank you.